You might have seen Rappi's Yuji Taiki or Neb's Yuji Taiki created on the Unity Cup in global server, and you're wondering how they made it. First of all, I want to put a huge disclaimer that chasing high score is very RNG and it will take you a lot of attempts. Even people that have strong knowledge of the game, like Victoria Frontier, had to do more than tens of runs to hit the SS rank. And I'm 100% sure Nep and Rappy also doesn't hit their UG rank simply in one run. It's all hard work, talent, and they just grind more than you think. Alright, first of all, I want to talk about the scoring mechanics for achieving high scores in the career runs. There is two important criteria when doing the career runs. The first is your stat lines, and the second one is your skill points or skills. I will talk about the stats line first. If you are pretty new to the idea of chasing high scores, the simple formula is that the higher a stat goes nearing the cap, the higher the rating point that you get. This on the screen right here is how the point is counted. You can pause it yourself if you want to read the formula. So, for example, with this formula, a stat line of 1200 speed, 600 stamina, 900 power, 600 guts, and 1200 on wit is better than a stat line of 900 across all these stats if you spread the stats evenly. And this is why it is always recommended to max out on 3 stats out of the 5 if you are chasing high scores instead of spreading your stats evenly. The next section is really important for score maxing, and I'm pretty sure most of you are still confused on which skills to pick at the end of the career. Picking the correct skills can give you significant rating boosts. Here is a really simple example. Do you know that taking Corner Adapt and Tailhead High gives you the same rating score, even though Corner Adapt costs 80 more skill points than Tailhead High? That's a 80 skill point difference that could go to one more extra skill for more ratings. Also, taking skills that doesn't align with the aptitude of your UMA will give you lower rating as a result. For example, if you take medium corners on your UMA and your UMA only has B aptitude on the medium distance, you will get a 195 rating instead of 239 rating if your UMA is on A aptitude. So just keep this in mind. Alright, but now you might be asking me, but Tordil, how do I optimize and know which skills is the best to take? Well, you just have to memorize it. And you just need to know that certain skills give you more points and are cheaper than the other. Luckily, people are already smart enough and made these optimizers. I found a couple of these JP Excels that the JP player has already made, but I think this tool right here fits the best for the global server, daftuida.moe. Using this tool is really intuitive and straightforward. You just input your stats, how many skill points that you have, and the list of the skills that you can pick alongside their hidden level. This tool will automatically pick the best skills and give the best set of skills that you can pick for the best outcome that will give you the highest rating UMA that you can possibly get. I will link this tool down in the description below. Huge shout out to the creator of this tool. Aside from stats and skill, this is really minor, but I want to show you that being a whale also boosts the rating score for your UMA. Your unique level also boosts the rating you get at the end of the career. Having a level 4 unique will only give you 680 ratings, while at level 6 you get 1020 rating, which is almost twice the value of your unique score. The UMA that we want to run are always UMA that have bonus in either 3 of these stats, that is speed, power, or wit. The best UMA for this in Unity Cup is of course Taiki Shuttle. Taiki has a really easy career. She has a scenario link in Unity Cup, which means also easier career, and also plus 3 free hands on normal Maven, and it's on when you pick her team. Her stat bonus is also plus 20% on speed and 10% on wit, so everything just fits for Taiki Shuttle. She is always the go-to if you want to hit a really high score. That is not to say that it's not possible to hit high score with other Umas. Any Umas that has similar stat boost can also work out, but it's just a little bit harder. One more thing that I also forgot to add is that you ideally want a good aptitude spread for the distance on your UMA, as this will let you pick up more skills at the end of the career and just run more G1 races in general. Most of the G1 races is medium distance racetrack by the way, so you want an Uma that has good attitude on the medium distance. This is also the reason why Bakashin is not that good for this, even though she has also the same stat bonus, because she simply doesn't have medium aptitude. Some of these examples for Umas beside Taiki Shuttle are Maruzensky, El Condor Pasa, and Festival Gold City. One thing to note when you run these UMAs is that their career might also be a bit harder due to the goal requirements being long races. So sometimes it might end your run, but with Rico, you will have a bit of stamina, so it will be just fine. Talking about the deck, this is the deck that the current UG rank Taiki uses, and you might be surprised that this deck doesn't use Kitasan Black. Was the Kitasan Black propaganda a lie all this time? And Nishino Flower as our power card is just a better card than Kitasan Black? Well, no. There is two reasonings behind this. First of all, the deck is just simply strong enough to carry the stats to max with all the other SSR cards in the deck. Fun fact, if you see the recording from Nep's run, you can see that his National Flower Carbon is not even orange until the senior year, and this is his stat line with that. The wheel deck is just simply strong enough to carry the weight of a card slot. Then, why Nishino Flower card instead of the other cards? Well, the main reasoning is simply this card has 15% race bonus. Due to how much race bonus that this deck have, a single G1 race can give you 76 skill point. That's 15 more per race than if you just run 35% race bonus, which yield 61 skill points. As for G2 races, it will give you 59 skill point per race compared to the usual 47. This means it will give you roughly 15 more skill points per race. And usually, these runs do 20 races in total, which total up to about 300 skill point difference. It is also pretty obvious, but power is always the stats that are lacking when we run these decks. Since we are running Umas that have boosts on the speed and width in general, so any power boosts from trainings or initial stats help a lot to cap the power stats. I also think you can pretty much achieve similar result if you swap out Nishino Flower for the free Marvelous Sunday power card. But another feature that Nishino Flower also has is the Charming event. So if you get the Charming event, it just makes the high roll easier because you also hit your rainbow sooner. If you are planning on doing your own score maxing, but you are not a whale and you don't have all these SSR cards, it is still better to use the normal with maxing deck. That is with the Kitasan Black, unless you just simply have MLB Biko and some MLB with cards lying around in your deck stash to carry the weight of these speed trainings. The best deck template is always still Kitasan, Swift Tosho, Rico, and 3 with cards. Assuming one bit card will be Deboro, that is Fine Motion or Nice Nature, we just need to fill the other two with cards. The best in slot is always Fukukitaru card. This card has the best training effect and a scenario link for the Unity Cup on top of it. We need to cover the race bonus of Fukukitaru, so a 10% race bonus card will be needed for the last slot of the deck. And this will be Marvel Sunday or Agnes Tachyon. I prefer Marvel Sunday since it is a good hint card and you get a lot of more SP discount at the end of the career from the hints. But Agnes Tachyon also has SP bonus on its card. Although one thing to note is that Tachyon hints are a bit lacking because it only gives you 1 hint level compared to Marvel Sunday with 3 hints level. Both of these cards are really good. The option is always up to you. Parent Spark is really important on these high score runs, as it will pad your stats by a lot. It is really recommended that your Parent Spark is all above 2-star on blue at least, and 3-star if you can. The Parent Spark that is going to be used is pretty much Power Sparks. The reason comes back again that this stat is the easiest to cap alongside speed and width because you are consistently hitting the speed button. So your power stats will naturally goes up. The main white spark that you want on your parents and grandparents is URA Finale Spark. This will give you a lot of free stats if it procs on your inspiration. A single 3-star URA Finale Spark proc can give you plus 30 speed and stamina, and it can proc twice on the first inspiration and the second inspiration. Having Unity Cup Spark is also fine as it gives you power and width And extra stats at the end of the day is always pretty much welcome, but I think it's easier to find a stag URA finale Spark parent than the Unity Cup ones. Extra white hints for skills is always welcome. The higher hints that procs on your inspiration will also contribute to when you pick these skills at the end of the career. As for the career runs, you might think that the player with those high score UMA knows some secret technique that always produce those amazing screenshot worthy UMA. But the truth is, this simply is just luck based, or what they call it high roll run. This is where your UMA always tag in together at the start of the career for the very fast early pawn, and which will give you early rainbow trainings. And at the senior year or the classic year, they just stack up together for multiple rainbow trainings, which will give you insane stats. Usually, you can start to feel when the run is a high roll or not, like if you get really early max friend bonds on your card and how many rainbow trainings you are getting on early on. If you are running for the purpose of high roll chasing, you can just cut the run early by the early classic year on the inspiration part. If you feel like your training are bust and you do not get your final spark and you pretty much have bad inspiration hints, you can just end the run there and just restart it completely. It will save you a lot of time from the inevitable non-high score run. I personally think that every player who has touched this scenario for a while knows the fundamental basic of how to play the game. The only mispiloting that often happen is just not knowing when to race, and so I will touch on that. The optimal time to race is simply on the death turns. This is turns with no rainbow trainings. Usually you will press recall on this turn if it makes it simpler for you to recognize it. This is even more important if the available race is G1 races, as it will give you more skill points for running the race. Besides that turn, if you have good start line by the classic year, you can also sacrifice turns that has one with rainbow training for a race button. Adding these two conditions when you run the race will easily bump up your race to around 20 races with your career goals. This is how the people that has more skills on their CMAs do their career pretty much. They just simply do more race than you. One more tips for these high score chasing runs is just that you need to take more risks than you usually do. Like normally it's very dumb to click a 60% failure rate on 3 rainbow stringing, right? But you just simply have to gamble it and win. This also means taking not normal options like always gambling the second option of the race for that sweet 5 energy reduction and just tanking the loss for the 20 energy if it doesn't hit. I also want to include here as it is pretty important that you should create a realistic goal with your card's ability. Like I can say for sure if your cards are not all SSR MLB, it is impossible to hit the UG rank, or SS rank if you feel you have a better cards, as I believe it is pretty much achievable and it's the borderline limit. Even SS rank is pretty hard to hit for people with will decks, so you don't need to feel bad about it if you don't hit score that high. One last thing to note is at the end of the day, chasing this high score run is very heavy RNG based to hit, so you just need to put in more work and time if you want to get that screenshot worthy UMA. Anyways, that's all for this video. I hope you can get your S plus or SS rank UMA. As always, thanks for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next one.